So what if I told you guys that two of the world's most famous billionaires have actually come out and made seven-figure Bitcoin price predictions, and based upon the events of the past couple of weeks, this seven-figure Bitcoin price could actually be a whole lot closer than most people believe. Let me explain myself for just a moment. So in 2022, Peter Thiel said that there were three things standing in the way of Bitcoin, stopping it from 100xing all the way up to $4 million per coin. And what if I told you guys that 2.5 out of those three hurdles have actually been pushed aside by Bitcoin and they are no longer a concern? Now, we are going to talk about Peter Thiel's Bitcoin price prediction a little bit later on into today's video, but I want to actually start off by looking at Michael Saylor's three catalysts that he believes could send Bitcoin to $5 million per coin, because I believe the recent news that came out this week about the FASB fair value accounting rule changes for Bitcoin could not only open the door for Bitcoin to be adopted by the 48,000 public companies and 4,000 billionaires, but as Michael Saylor says in this short little video I'm about to play for you guys, this is one of the major hurdles that could potentially open the damn doors for Bitcoin to hit $5 million per coin.
Here, you need an inflation hedge. So it's going to grind up to replace gold. It'll go to $500,000 a coin, regardless of whether they fix these things. But there are three things that are massive catalysts that cause an acceleration. And I don't think that those three things don't take us to 500,000. They take us to 5 million a coin, right? Those three things are a spot ETF where someone can go ahead and buy $100 million of Bitcoin via a security, an ETF security. I think that's one. Two is your bank is going to custody it for you and lend against it. And three is I can mark it up or mark it down on my balance sheet based on fair value.
So there you have it. Those are the three conditions that Michael Saylor believes are necessary for Bitcoin to hit $5 million per coin. And I actually believe we are potentially halfway there. I think we have ticked off or met 1.5 of those conditions. I think Europe already has a Bitcoin spot ETF. Yes, we don't have a spot ETF in America yet, but it looks as if the SEC is under some serious pressure to approve a Bitcoin spot ETF in the very, very near future. So I think we're 0.5 or half of the way there to meeting that one condition. But now let's start talking about the enormous FASB accounting rule change, because I believe this absolutely changes everything, okay? So what is the FASB and why is this big rule change such a game changer for Bitcoin? So the FASB stands for the Financial Accounting Standards Board. And this week they introduced a rule change that is actually going to allow companies who buy Bitcoin and put it on its balance sheet to use the fair value accounting method for Bitcoin. So without getting too granular, I'm going to simplify it for you guys. Before now, when companies put Bitcoin on their balance sheet, they could not use fair value accounting rules. If the price of Bitcoin significantly went up, these companies could not actually realize a profit or realize a gain on their balance sheet from that appreciation of the Bitcoin price. Essentially, companies were just penalized whenever the price of Bitcoin went down. But this announcement actually changes everything. And that is why Michael Saylor has been beating the drum about this FASB rule change and how it could potentially open the floodgates for Bitcoin adoption by the 48,000 public companies in the world. A lot of people, myself included, have been surprised that there haven't been a huge race of other public and private companies to put Bitcoin on its balance sheet after Michael Saylor tried to orange pill the world in 2020. And I think it is solely due to actually this FASB rule change. But now that it's open, look out. I think that this could open the floodgates for Bitcoin adoption. Now, while we're speaking about floodgates, let's talk about the second criteria or catalyst that Michael Saylor believes could send Bitcoin to $5 million per coin, and that is a spot Bitcoin ETF. Now, before we do discuss that spot Bitcoin ETF, I want to actually run a poll. I want to ask you guys, which camera do you prefer that I use? In the first couple of minutes of today's video, I was doing a little bit of an experimentation with a different camera. If you enjoyed that that camera angle better? Let me know in the comments down below. Maybe vote a number 1 for the first couple of minutes if you prefer that. If you prefer the camera I'm using right now, maybe vote number 2. I am trying to improve the quality over here on YouTube to the best that I can for you guys. So please, I would love to know your thoughts because I really do want to make the best videos possible for you guys. So let's start talking about the spot Bitcoin ETF. We don't have a spot Bitcoin ETF in America yet, okay? But we do in Europe, okay? So just recently, last month, Europe actually became the first Western country to introduce a spot Bitcoin ETF. I'm not actually including Australia in this. Yes, Australia does have a Bitcoin spot ETF, but the population of Australia is only 25 million people. They're a very small country. I'm actually looking at America and Europe as the true large Western superpowers. Sorry, Australia. So we don't have that Bitcoin spot ETF in America yet, but I think the SEC is under some serious pressure to approve one very soon, especially considering the world's largest asset managers kind of said, hey, SEC, we want a Bitcoin spot ETF. I think it's inevitable. I think it's close. That's why I believe we are halfway through kind of meeting this criteria that Michael Saylor has included in his set of 3 that are essential to send Bitcoin to $5 million. So I think we're 1.5 of the way there. We have the FASB. We're halfway there to getting that Bitcoin spot ETF. Something we haven't got to yet is banks custodying Bitcoin, okay? Banks are not custodying Bitcoin for their clients yet, but we are seeing some developments and some major banks move in that direction. The Commonwealth Bank in Australia actually came out with an announcement last year, and they said that they're going to begin to allow customers to buy and sell Bitcoin as well as other shitcoins in the actual app. Now, this is a big deal. For my viewers who are not Australian, okay, Commonwealth Bank is the largest bank in Australia. I think they service somewhere between 50 to 60% of the 25 million Australians. So that's big. And we also have some other banks in America looking to move in that same direction. We have Fidelity and we have BNY Mellon, okay? So I don't think we've met this criteria yet, but I think we're halfway there to meeting the catalyst that Michael Saylor believes could send Bitcoin to $5 million. And he actually believes we could meet the criteria for all 3 of these steps in the next 36 months. So what do you guys think? If Bitcoin does actually get all of these 3 essential things, will it send Bitcoin to $5 million? Or how long do you think it will take? I don't know. Let me know in the comments down below. But now let's start talking about the second billionaire and the 3 things that he believes could send Bitcoin to $4 million. So Peter Thiel gave this amazing speech in the 2022 Bitcoin Miami conference. He was ripping up fiat money. He was throwing fiat money to the crowd. It was an amazing speech, but I was most captivated by these words that he said here.
Realize that that this is sort of what we have to fight for Bitcoin to go 10x or 100x from here. So enemy number 1. And if we had to summarize this in one frame, it is the finance gerontocracy that runs the country through whatever silly virtue signaling / hate factory term like ESG they have.
So Peter Thiel actually mentioned 3 people by name in his speech, and he believes that these 3 gatekeepers are the ones that are stopping Bitcoin from reaching $4 million and 100xing, okay? So he mentioned Warren Buffett, Larry Fink, and JP Morgan. And surprise, surprise, BlackRock and Larry Fink have done a 100% backflip on Bitcoin, okay? Since 2022, they now come out and they say, look, Bitcoin is peace. Bitcoin is hope. Bitcoin is a future international asset. And we're going to launch a Bitcoin spot ETF. That's what Larry Fink said in the past couple of months. And he's even actually tried to retire the word ESG. So that's the first hurdle standing in Bitcoin's way is gone. We've won the ESG battle. And now what about the big Wall Street bankers? Well, Peter Thiel actually mentions JP Morgan and Jamie Dimon by name. And for years, Jamie Dimon has been bashing on Bitcoin. But guess what happened in the past month? Jamie Dimon's even had to make a little bit of a pivot on his Bitcoin position. He came out and he actually said the SEC is going to be forced to approve the majority of these Bitcoin spot ETFs. So yes, he might not have fully embraced Bitcoin yet, but that is a major pivot. That is a major trend change. And I believe there you have it. That is 2 out of the 3 criteria for Peter Thiel's 4 million Bitcoin have been met. Now, what about Warren? What about good old Warren Buffett? Again, Peter Thiel mentioned him by name in that presentation in 2022. Now, Warren hasn't said anything explicitly or overtly out loud about him changing his stance on Bitcoin, but I'm more interested about looking at what Warren is doing with his money behind closed doors. Now, would it surprise you guys to find out that Berkshire Hathaway, which of course is Warren Buffett's hedge fund, bought over $1 billion of stock in a bank called Nubank? Now, what is Nubank? Nubank is a fintech bank that, quote unquote, focuses on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And why would Warren just quietly buy $1 billion of shares in it in early 2022 if he thought that the business plans of Nubank were not worth investing in? Very interesting. So again, I don't think Warren has fully embraced Bitcoin overtly and explicitly yet, but you always got to watch what people are doing with their money. So I believe that 2.5 out of the 3 hurdles that Peter Thiel has identified for Bitcoin have essentially been jumped by Bitcoin. I believe that we are actually getting very, very close to satisfying all 3 criteria that Peter Thiel believes are necessary for Bitcoin to 100x and fly to $4 million per coin. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Are these billionaires on the money? Are they too bearish? Are they too bullish? I don't know, but I know for sure they are not the only billionaires coming out and making enormous Bitcoin price predictions. I have a special weekend lined up for you guys. I'm going to actually call it the Bitcoin Billionaire Week, because tomorrow I've filmed and I've recorded another video looking at the other 5 billionaires who have also predicted Bitcoin to hit over $100,000 in 2024 or 2025. Now, if you guys can't wait the 24 hours to get your next hit of bullish hopium, you guys can check out the video that I've recently recorded showing why a $117 million Bitcoin is being predicted by the 3 BlackRock analysts who wrote this secret paper in 2022. If you want to watch that one, you can find a link to that video right there. And once you finish with that video, you guys can check out the video I filmed on Oman, the world's 21st largest oil producing country, who have just invested $1.1 billion into Bitcoin mining. I'm going to pop a link to that video right there. And with all that said, hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you all in the next video.